congressmen and women, and the FDA Advisory Committee. Today, I will be covering several topics about performance-enhancing drugs. First, I will cover its history, the question of testing for health versus drugs, misconceptions of performance-enhancing drug use, sports and recreational use, and how they are two very different things, the decrease in detectability of performance-enhancing drugs with the advent of new technologies, and that criminalization only breeds substandard drugs that are unmonitored and very unhealthy for individuals. Performance-enhancing drugs can trace their origins back to the Third Olympiad, when Thomas Hicks won the marathon after receiving an injection of strychnine in the middle of the race. In 1976, the East German swimming team won 11 out of 13 Olympic events, and later sued the government for giving them anabolic steroids. Lance Armstrong, a very world-renowned biker, won 7 Tour de France competitions while using performance-enhancing drugs that he later admitted on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Also, in a history of 12 Olympics, we've had 143 cases of individuals testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs, and 110 medals stripped from those individuals. Now comes the question of health versus drug detection. Is health a priority? We must always keep in mind that the health of these individuals is the utmost priority in all things. We have left performance-enhancing drugs nearly untested and just criminalize them without testing them fully and understanding them. Are the health risks justified through testing? Each of the health risks has been demonstrated throughout history. Such notable ones as in August 26, 1960, the first athlete to die in Olympic competition due to doping. A Danish cyclist died from the use of amphetamines and overexhaustion during an Olympic competition. July 13, 1967, cyclist on amphetamines, his first Tour de France doping death. There are many cases like this. Former NFL player dies of brain cancer after using steroids and HGH for 2 decades. But note, the scientific research has yet to demonstrate a link between steroids or HGH and brain cancer. Now we also have to say, if they are so unhealthy for individuals, why are these performance-enhancing drugs found in hospitals? We can find many anabolic androgenic steroids in any hospital around the country. They are administered in small doses to individuals. Now we have to cover the misconceptions of performance-enhancing drug use. The misconception of performance-enhancing drugs, specifically anabolic androgenic steroids, causes roid rage. If you were to take the number of alcohol-related rage incidents in one city for one day, you would not come up with the same amount of roid rage-related incidents in an entire year for the entire country. Also, we legalize performance-enhancing drugs, and yet we go ahead and acknowledge prescription opiates, such as Oxycontin. There are cases where doctors will prescribe heroin to heroin addicts to stave off their issues. The rumored issues with long-term use are completely unjustified due to no research. They have been blocked by the World Anti-Doping Association and the United States Anti-Doping Association. We all know that select performance-enhancing drugs are known to be hazardous. The use of methamphetamines for Olympics, cocaine, and other such substances only cause death. These, however, are not just performance-enhancing drugs, these are narcotics and should be separated likewise. Now we have to remember that sports and recreational use are two very different things. Recreational use for average day citizens is a personal choice, and in many cases, an American right. The regulation of natural sports is an oxymoron due to the desire to compete and win. No matter what these professional sports players do, they always try to get all the cards on their side of the table and will do whatever it takes and pay any amount to win. In order to represent their country and their sport, they will do whatever is possible, to include using performance-enhancing drugs. Due to this situation, many sportsmen are left behind for those who do not choose to use performance-enhancing drugs. If we were to decriminalize performance-enhancing drugs and at least monitor them, we could separate the natural versus the unnatural, and we can also study these drugs as they're being used on a voluntary basis. PED use is more prevalent than ever. As I said before, over 12 Olympics, 143 cases of positive test results. Now you have to remember, less than 10% of sports members are tested. Only in the year 2012 did the World Anti-Doping Association test 5,000 members. The testability is also steadily declining with the advent of new technologies. New performance-enhancing drugs are mimicking naturally produced chemicals in the body. They are becoming undetectable. And yet again, the natural people are being passed up because they decline to do them because they are illegal. Testing is no longer practical. It is very expensive and very time-consuming to come up with these new tests for these new drugs, which are virtually undetectable. A criminalization only breeds substandard drugs that are unmonitored. Criminalizing PEDs only produce a black market for unverified drugs. If you look closely, many of the issues surrounding performance-enhancing drugs are those who are purchased by individuals from a black market. These drugs are unverified and usually not the drug specified. Use of these substandard drugs demonstrate adverse effects that we end up tying to performance-enhancing drugs. Regulated performance-enhancing drugs do not produce the same effects as their black market counterparts. They are purified and monitored by the FDA. PEDs are better off being decriminalized and monitored by medical doctors. If we use sports medicine doctors to monitor the cycles and the issues and all the adverse effects surrounding members who choose to use performance-enhancing drugs, we can better understand them and help level the playing field. Without the decriminalization of performance-enhancing drugs, people will continue to take health risks in order to win, and that includes purchasing their black market counterparts. Performance-enhancing drugs have become very rampant in high schools, and this is because they understand that if they do not do performance-enhancing drugs or anything of the like, they will not make it to the colleges or the majors or ever be successful in their sport. We should create two organizations in which we represent natural sportsmen and unnatural sportsmen. In this case, they can compete in their own categories and be fair. This system is exemplified in bodybuilding, where there's natural bodybuilding and unnatural bodybuilding. There was a case in which the World Anti-Doping Association showed up in Europe for a bodybuilding competition. The 20 bodybuilding competitors left the scene because they knew they would test positive. The competition was canceled and postponed. Sports like this would not even exist without performance-enhancing drugs. Although we may not like them and we think that they're cheating, they create a market. They are demanded by the people. Hopefully you can decide with me that decriminalizing performance-enhancing drugs is better for our nation so we can understand them and make a safer place for our people. Thank you.